For today's headlines, COP26 leaders vow end to deforestation. No party can void deals. 6 people petition Comelec to disqualify Bongbong Marcos' presidential run. Region's biggest solar farm set via IPO. Dolomite Beach overcrowding explained. Supreme Court junks Kalikasan claim versus Meralco. Trafficking illegal trade victims rescued. No tests for fully-vaxxed domestic travelers. Good morning, I am Venice Bautista and you are watching Tribune News on Cue. Today is November 3, 2021, and here are the latest news this Wednesday morning. World leaders will conclude a 2-day climate summit on Tuesday with a multi-billion-dollar pledge to end deforestation by 2030, a date too far away for campaigners who want action sooner to save the planet's lungs. The pledge was to be issued at the United Nations COP26 conference, which will continue for another fortnight to try to craft national plans to forestall the most devastating impacts of global warming. The summit's chair, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, said the agreement on deforestation was pivotal to the overarching ambition of limiting temperature rises to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The pledge is backed by almost $20 billion in public and private funding and is endorsed by more than 100 leaders representing over 85% of the world's forests, the United Kingdom government said. The leaders include those of forest-rich Brazil and Russia, both condemned by activists for accelerating their own rates of deforestation, along with United States President Joe Biden and others. Humans have already cut down half of all Earth's forests, a practice doubly harmful for the climate when CO2-sucking trees are replaced with livestock or monoculture crops. Greenpeace criticized the Glasgow initiative for effectively giving the green light to another decade of deforestation. Udana Group of Davao City magnate Dennis Uy broke its silence over the string of allegations of misdeals in its more than $1 billion transactions with units of oil giants Chevron Corporation and Royal Dutch Shell. A spokesperson of the conglomerate said since the sales of shares are considered legitimate private deals, no party has the legal ability to resign the Chevron and Shell transactions. On October 18, a complaint was filed with the Ombudsman by geologist Balgamel Domingo and Filipino-American anti-Duterte leaders Rodel Rodes and Loida Nicolas Lewis against Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi, other Department of Energy officials, Uy, and several others over the sale that will transfer 90% control of the Malampaya natural gas project to the Udana Group. The Department of Energy branded the complaint as a political move since the two PhilAm lawyers in the suit are prominent in the Oust Duterte movement in the United States. The complainants particularly alleged Cusi and other energy officials as having granted unwarranted benefits and advantage to Uy's UC Malampaya in the buyout of Chevron's share in Malampaya. Zorilla said there is no law requiring approval of transfer of shares of companies that have interest in Malampaya. Udana, being a key investor in UC Malampaya Philippines, which bought the Chevron interests, stands by this legal position. Zorilla added the transfers of Chevron and Shell shares underwent strict bidding processes and due diligence by both multinational oil and gas players. The allegations raised in the Ombudsman were based on accusations made in the Senate Committee on Energy hearing where panel chairperson Sherwin Gatchalian raised the need to review the deals and the possible rebidding of Service Contract 38 that covers the Malampaya field. Such charges were contradicted by DOE officials. The DOE also stressed that while there is no law rules or regulations that squarely directs the agency to review the sale of shares of stocks between the corporation. A review was conducted because the Malampaya gas field is considered the backbone of the country's power generation system that is crucial to energy security. 6 people represented by lawyer Theodore Te on November 2 petitioned the Commission on Elections to cancel the certificate of candidacy of presidential aspirant Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. The petitioners, Father Christian B. Buenafe, Fides M. Lim, Maria Edeliza P. Hernandez, Celia Lagman Sevilla, Roland C. Vibal, and Josephine Lascano, claimed not only has Marcos Jr. been convicted of a crime by final judgment, which carries the penalty of perpetual disqualification, his repeated violations of the NIRC or the National Internal Revenue Code, and his continued evasion or non-payment of taxes renders his conviction as one involving moral turpitude. According to the complaining group, the assertions made by respondent Marcos Jr. in the subject COC are not only false, they are even perjurious, another crime involving moral turpitude. Tribune News on Q will be back after these reminders.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
Magandang araw mga katribo! Narito na ang mga makakasama nyo tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Roy Pelovelo, Compi Manalo, Atty. Lia Badillo Crisostomo, Vernon Velasco, Kim Sancha at Chirk Balagtas. Abangan ang programang Gising Na mula alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga sa Facebook page ng Daily Tribune.
Ilabas na ang mainit na kape at samahan kami sa inyong pag-almusal, mga katribo.
Sama-sama natin alamin ang mga natatagong istorya sa mga latest na kaganapan sa loob at labas ng bansa.
Simulan natin ang bawat umaga with good vibes sa mga informative and recreational segments ng aming programa.
Maaari niyo rin ibahagi sa amin ang inyong opinion via Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now sa YouTube.
Makichika na rin sa latest showbiz happenings, mga katribo.
Kaya naman, magkita-kita po tayo mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga at magsama-sama po tayo sa
Gising Na!
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
We're back on Tribune News on Q. Meanwhile, the renewable energy firm Solar PH is preparing an initial public offer to raise funds for the development of Southeast Asia's largest solar farm. Solar Philippines Nueva Ecija Corporation is undertaking a 500-megawatt solar project in Peñaranda, Nueva Ecija. The IPO proceeds will serve as the equity for the construction of the project's first 225 megawatt, which would be larger than any solar project operating in the Philippines. The company would seek further financing to complete the 500 megawatt, which would be larger than any solar project operating in Southeast Asia today, and larger than the combined total of all non-solar Philippines projects operating in Luzon in the latest list published by the Department of Energy. The company aims to expand the project beyond this capacity amid the country's growing demand for renewable energy. Solar Philippines founder Leandro Levista said they decided to make Solar Philippines Nueva Ecija Corporation our group's first venture into the public market because this is the asset that we are proudest to showcase, a site where will rise the largest solar project in the Philippines with potential for further expansion given its proximity to Manila. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Undersecretary Benny Antiporda, clarified that the overcrowding in Manila's Dolomite Beach has a justified reason.
Negative or criticism dyan, maganda talaga yan. At kitang-kita ng mga resulta, every time na yung
last 2 Sundays pala yan. No? Nakunan niya ng litrato na siksikan yung tao. Well, nagkaroon ng heavy downfall ng ulan. So, nag-alisan yung mga tao, sumilong muna. Then, after few minutes, nung tumigil yung ulan, nagbalikan po sabay-sabay na. No? So, naipon yung mga tao. And yet, there's a squeaking sound doon sa tulay, yung sa footbridge, no? Immediately nag-acto yung ating yung ating pong ground commander na papasukin na muna yung mga tao para lang mag-flow yung footbridge.
To add, he assures the critics and the worried netizens that everyone admitted inside the Dolomite Beach was wearing their masks. When people remove their masks, even just partially, they are asked to wear them properly.
Ito ay yung fish sinisita po yan, no? Pinababalik sa kanila. So with that situation, I don't think naman there's something to be alarmed about, and we have done our part in implementing the IATF rule, no? So with that, immediately nagkaroon naman ng reorganization or recalibration of the system wherein hindi na po nangyari uli yan, no? Natuloy naman po yung the whole week na nakabukas yan, isinara lang po uli yan noong pong holidays dahil nung sarado po mga sementeryo, inaasahan po natin nadadagsain na naman ng tao yan kung kaya't pansamantala isinara yan hanggang nung kahapon po dapat, no, sarado po yan. But until now, from what I heard, sarado siya to give way to the
The Dolomite Beach will be closed until further notice to give way to the construction for its development as well as the repairing of the footbridge. Meanwhile, Antiporda said that they won't require vaccination cards in the future, but they're considering creating a virtual gate pass that can be downloaded and presented upon entering the Dolomite Beach. The Supreme Court has junked the writ of Kalikasan filed by the residents of Magallanes Village in Makati City and an adjacent barangay in Villamor Air Base in Pasay City against Meralco. It was claimed by the residents that their health and safety were in peril amid Meralco's mounting of electric poles and transmission lines in their areas. A writ of Kalikasan is a legal remedy under Philippine law that provides protection of one's constitutional right to a healthy environment as outlined in Section 16, Article 2 of the Philippine Constitution, which states that the state shall protect and advance the right of the people to a balanced and healthful ecology in accord with the rhythm and harmony of nature. In a 26-page decision penned by Associate Justice Marvic Leonen and made public last 27 of October, the court and bank affirmed the decision issued by the Court of Appeals on 20 January 2011, which also denied the petition. The petitioners argued that the electric poles carrying 115 kilovolt transmission lines placed near their residence were cleared by barangay officials without consulting with them. They claimed that it was mandated under Section 27 of the Local Government Code, and they also said the permit was given without studying the possible adverse effects of the power lines on their health. In its 2011 ruling, the CA held the petitioners failed to demonstrate how high voltage electric current through the transmission lines violate their constitutional right to a balanced and healthful ecology. Tribune News on Q will be back. Stay with us.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
You are still watching Tribune News on Q. In other news, the Bureau of Immigration said the Bureau had intercepted 495 trafficking and illegal recruitment victims attempting to fly abroad during the first 3 quarters of the year. Immigration Commissioner Jaime Morente said a total of 8,413 passengers were deferred departure during the same period, mostly for being improperly documented. The BI chief added that 90% or 6,909 of the passengers were intercepted at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, while the rest were stopped at the airports in Clark, Pampanga and Mactan, Sibu. Some 325 passengers were found to be potential victims of human trafficking and were immediately turned over to the Interagency Council Against Trafficking for investigation and filing of charges against their handlers and recruiters, while 170 were endorsed to the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration for discrepancies in their work documents. Morente said that despite the challenges brought about by the pandemic, there has been no let-up in their drive against human trafficking. He cited the country's retention of its Tier 1 status in the United States Trafficking in Persons Index as proof that the Philippines demonstrates appreciable progress each year in combating trafficking. The provincial government of Sibu announced that it has already canceled the requirement on negative COVID-19 test results or a medical certificate for fully vaccinated domestic travelers. In a memorandum signed by Governor Gwendolyn Garcia, it noted that all fully vaccinated persons traveling to the province of Sibu are no longer required to present a negative RT-PCR test result, a negative rapid antigen test result, or a medical certificate as a requirement for entry. The memorandum took effect on October 29, 2021. However, Garcia stressed that the memorandum only applies to domestic travelers coming from other provinces and cities in the country. She noted that international travelers, including overseas Filipino workers and returning overseas Filipinos, are still subject to the policies of the national government. The memorandum was issued to all mayors, Philippine Coast Guard, Philippine National Police, Mactan Cebu International Airport Authority, and all airline and ship operations. And that wraps up the stories this morning. Before we go, we would like to thank the SM Store, Mary Kay, Department of Tourism, Aranada Center, MG Motors, Hina Motors, Security Bank, and Overseas Community Affairs Council member Alan Lin of Republic of China for their continued support. Again, this is Venice Bautista on Tribune News on Q, reminding you that we only have 52 days until Christmas. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home.